Thank you, Mob. I just wanted to acknowledge country that I'm on. I'm a visitor from Gadigal country, but I'm a Mudawari Gulbangi man from mid-north coast in New South Wales. I have ties to saltwater and freshwater people, but I live in Gadigal country now up in Sydney and work for the National Alive Centre. I think there would be a few differences in regards to connecting with participants of a co-design session with Mob. Father of four, got a little tribe of my own.
My family's from Ngarigo country in southeast New South Wales and from the people of Monaro. And my family grew up around East Gippsland up at Orbost on the mum's side on Gunai-Kurnai country. Then moved down to Melbourne and I was actually born on Wurundjeri land and Wurundjeri country out at outer East Melbourne. Unfortunately, I haven't got back to country where my traditional people are, but I'm hoping to get back there more often than I have in the past.
A bit more time would probably be needed in regards to introductions from each participant.
My mob and ties are to southwest Victoria, so on the coast like Great Ocean Road, Warrnambool, Port Fairy kind of area. And then you move inward to Victoria to Gary, where the Grampians National Park. So similar to you, Phil, well, saltwater, we've got freshwater, we've got bush.
Cultural security is the anchor for your co-design session. The Aboriginal people need to know that they're able to come with their views and their histories and all the trauma that they've experienced and able to express it the way they'd like to express it.
Really at the core of it is how do we be seen and be heard as Aboriginal people.
It's a warm approach for working with Mob. It's been very effective for me to engage community when I cross different parts of Australia. Elder is the boss of our community. What they say goes. It's always advised to make contact with our elders first through your contact person that you've located on the land. With that endorsement, you'll be on the right track in regards to touching the ground with community.
We might have an agenda and we might have a purpose, but if you walk in that room and you want to talk about soup and Mob want to talk about, like it might be a justice thing or it might be a funding thing that's totally out of the wheelhouse, but if that's what they want to bring to the table because they've seen that connection, and maybe at the start you'll go, oh, I don't know where this is going and this is not really related to this, but allowing the conversation to be had and the experiences to be shared, often there is a link there. It means that you kind of freak out a little bit as the facilitator because you're like, oh, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know whether I'm going to get what I need. But sometimes that's what Mob needs, and it's not all about you, right? When you're going in there, and I think that's an important part. Elders would have probably thrown out a message to everybody to come down and listen and bring their 2 cents worth. And if they have, that's a really good thing because community value opinions from everybody and they understand that there's going to be different perspectives for everybody.
It's about giving that space for voice to be heard and varying perspectives, so it's not just one voice but it could be multiple voices. I'm taking a different approach in my work and how I interact with my colleagues about getting them to think about, let's not predetermine the outcome, let's not say this is how it has to be, let's have some ideas that we can test, check and build on those ideas informed by the voices in community.
The 8 Ways of Learning pedagogy, it's an Indigenous systems thinking approach from the northwestern New South Wales region, and it's a pedagogy that I was brought up with from a very young age and instilled in my upbringing from my grandmother from that region. And it's all about 8 different elements in regards to different scenarios in an interaction, but at the very heart of that are the 4 elements of systems, processes, values and protocol. Uncle Sess and Uncle Alan are the knowledge holders in that space, and they've always advised if we're using it, give something back to community. And I believe research gives back in the long run. Co-design is a wonderful vehicle in theory for a lot of people, but in practice, are they really doing it, do you think?
At the core, co-design is good and what we've been advocating, but somewhere along the way, it kind of trickled into our ways of work and it's been used very interchangeably, and the interpretation and definition of co-design, is probably what has let mob down a lot.
What's really tipped it over the edge for when it did go wrong wasn't staying true to the customs and the values of the community. And we went in there with our own set agenda about what we wanted to find out. And we didn't understand that there were other issues going on that contributed to our issue. We didn't listen to the community sometimes as well in regards to what they were trying to voice to us. That was probably a really big learning curve for me. I saw that insight on self-reflection around that we're actually taking something valuable from community, and it's got to mean something to the community if you want some proper engagement.
Whilst some things may be well-intentioned from a particular team or a different unit, the process or the way they've gone about, and they say co-designing when it might be actually consultation and doesn't really allow for that, for the input and for the actual design of something. It's often I've seen when a policy or program has been designed and it's gone too far down the track, and then they want to bring in an Aboriginal perspective to say, to almost get that tick box.
If you haven't done that, it's still okay to step out into a co-design space. You just got to be clear about where you are in that journey.
What do you think the essential elements, ingredients for co-design with mob is?
Time, trust, relationship, and flexibility.
It's more about co-design on their terms. So, because ultimately that allows that respect for it to evolve and to occur as it should be.
At the core, in my view, of co-design is what mob have been talking about for as long as I can remember. Don't do things for us, to us, without us. And that's like the essence to me of co-design. When you get that part right at all stages of a design process, then it actually shifts the outcome and the output of what happens. Like when you're in that real, true, empowering kind of model of people working together.
They've been doing it for a long time, working together and creating that relational approach. I think co-design is something that the rest of the world's caught up with.